All right, from 5 News, I'm meteorologist Stephen Elmore. Got a lot to talk about when it comes to the winter storm potential that's going to be for tomorrow. Again, we're just giving you this update today just to get you prepared. Honestly, today, though, is going to be the calm before the storm. Get those preps done ahead of time. Lots of sunshine for today. Daytime highs eventually reaching up into those low to mid 40s. This is what we have in place for tomorrow. Again, early this morning, we got that upgrade to the winter storm warning across northwest Arkansas. Now, across the river valley, you don't see much right now when it comes to that advisory or watch or something like that. But because we are waiting on that advisory to kick back in sometime later today, maybe even into tomorrow, we're going to see the potential, at least, for that winter weather advisory across the river valley from the National Weather Service out of Tulsa. What does that mean for you? Well, the pink winter storm warning that we have across northwest Arkansas, what that means is that we're giving you that heads up that we're going to see some accumulating snow across the area by the time we get to tomorrow afternoon through the evening hours and into early on Wednesday morning. Across the river valley, we're not expecting much in the way of that super high snowfall accumulation. What we're expecting is to still see some snow, but also a lot more of the chance of that wintry mix, some of that sleet, some of that freezing rain potential as well. That's what we'll cover here in just a few minutes. It's not just the snow, it's not just the ice and freezing rain that we're concerned about, but it's also the chances for some very dangerously cold temperatures. That's when we have that dangerously cold potential, not only for Tuesday evening, but Wednesday and Thursday as well. Even into Friday, we're going to be dealing with those wind chill values close to the single digits, if not into the negatives. That's why we have that warning in place across northwest Arkansas, across the river valley. Just hanging on to that watch right now. I imagine that could change later on today as well. Let's talk about that impact. Again, Tuesday is the day that we are hyper focused on the chances for that precip. Wednesday and Thursday, we have that weather impact alert because of how cold it's going to be. We're talking about a range between -5 to -20 when it comes to what it's going to feel like in the morning hours for both Wednesday and Thursday, with Thursday being the coldest day this upcoming week. Tuesday, though, is the day that we're going to see that precip coming down across the area. The timeline, again, right around 10 a.m. is possible. We're going to start to see those first snowflakes first across northwest Arkansas as we progress into the afternoon, especially throughout evening hours of Tuesday. That's where we're going to see some really tricky road conditions, as that's going to be the worst time to be out on the roads because that precip's going to be coming down across the area. Again, north of I-40, mainly looking at just that snow. South of I-40, that's where we could see a little bit of a mix of everything. Important to have those preps done now before we get into that winter storm this time tomorrow. All right, let's talk about that winter storm severity index. What does this mean? It's a big fancy term for what the impact is going to be across the area. Seen a few changes here and there over the past half hour to an hour or so, but really we have that moderate zone, that moderate impact zone across northwest Arkansas, because of the chances of some higher snowfall accumulation. As you work south into the river valley, you see that low chance for some impacts, low chance for that severe weather is what we call it, but this time we're talking about winter severe weather. It comes in the way of some of that wintry mix. It comes in the way of some of that sleet and some of those snowflakes as well. Again, the highest snowfall accumulation is going to be closer towards the state line, just to the north and southern Missouri, expecting even higher chances in the way of that accumulation. So how is this system going to come in tomorrow? We are in an area where, if you've been here a long time, you know we're usually right on that freezing line, but separating between the freezing rain and the sleets and then the snow. That's how it's going to come in tomorrow for as well. Northwest Arkansas, more than likely, we are going to see snow start right away by the time we get to around 10, 11 a.m. and then continue as snow the rest of the afternoon into the evening hours, overnight into Wednesday morning. As you work south, though, in and around I-40, that's where we're going to see that mix between some snow and some sleet. Still going to see some accumulation when it comes to those snowflakes, but it's not going to be near as great as in northwest Arkansas. South of I-40, that's where we're really looking at the chances of maybe some of that freezing rain and some of that sleet mixing in. Can't rule out a few snowflakes here and there, but the accumulation doesn't look great on that end. We do see a higher potential, though, for that ice accumulation. Let's start with Futurecast, and this is what it looks like 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, starting to see some of those snowflakes first across northwest Arkansas. As we progress into the afternoon and into the evening, that's where that activity is going to pick up. Just afternoon for our Tuesday, we start to see those snowflakes widespread across northwest Arkansas and starting to see some of that wintry mix first south of I-40. As we get into the evening hours, though, that's when the activity is really going to start to pick up. Here's a look at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Again, school school district's going to be making this decision on whether or not we're going to school tomorrow. Maybe we can go to school in the morning, or we just say, hey, we're going to completely just call it a day and not even attempt to send those kiddos off to school. That's going to come more than likely this evening, or if not tomorrow, for those school districts making their own independent decisions. At 2 p.m. tomorrow, we're looking at widespread snowfall across northwest Arkansas, parts of the river valley, but you see that freezing line where it's going to be the separation between snowflakes over into that sleet and freezing rain. Further south you live, especially south of I-40, that's going to have the greatest potential of that ice accumulation. North of I-40, mainly looking at some of those heavier snow bands to start to mix in. That continues throughout Tuesday evening and even overnight into Wednesday morning, still seeing a lot of those heavier bands start to mix in. An important note to remember now, as you're watching our live coverage for tomorrow, you start to see these darker colors pop up here, these darker blue and purple shades. Those are going to be those heavier bands that we're going to be talking about throughout the day on our Tuesday, especially Tuesday evening. That commute home after work, after school, whatever it may be, is going to be very tricky outside. This slow-moving system continues to track further off towards the east by the time we get to Wednesday night past midnight into very early in the morning, around 2, 3 a.m. Wednesday. We're finally done with the snowfall, with the wintry mix, with the sleet. But now it's going to be transitioning over to how cold it's going to be outside. Here is a long-awaited forecast for how much snow we're going to see from this system. Again, timeline is very important here, that the morning hours is not going to be too bad, but by the time you're heading home, that's where we're going to be almost at its peak for when it comes to the snow and ice accumulation. Right around the late afternoon, early evening hours, everybody's going to be dealing with some type of winter precip. When it comes to who's going to get the most accumulation, parts of extreme northwest Arkansas, we're thinking generally right around 6 to 8 inches of snow. Now, again, a reminder that just to the north of us is more than likely going to be that heaviest snow band setup. So if that track just moves just to the south, we could be talking about higher accumulation across northwest Arkansas. For right now, the first call, we're talking about 6 to 8 inches for Benton and Carroll County. As you work further south into Washington and into Madison County, especially in places of higher elevation there in the Boston Mountains, 3 to 6 inches will definitely be possible when it comes to mainly looking at just that snowfall accumulation. Now, as you work further south into the river valley, this is where the snowfall accumulation doesn't look as great. Generally thinking right around 1 up to 3 inches of snow will be possible. But what's also going to mix in there is the sleet and the chance for some of that freezing rain as well. So again, the snowfall accumulation doesn't look great, but if you're in and around I-40, that's where we're going to be in that true zone of a mix between the snow and the sleet. Now, as you work further south of I-40, we're talking about Scott, Logan, parts of Sebastian, parts of LaFleur, mainly looking at low-end chances for any high accumulation when it comes to snowfall. A trace up to an inch of snow will definitely be possible. But what the main concern is going to be is the higher chances for some of that ice accumulation. Anywhere from 1/10 up to 1/4 of an inch of freezing rain will definitely be possible. We look at one model showing you what could be the potential of that ice. Again, can be just as tricky as that snowfall. So we don't want to underplay just because we're getting less snow in the river valley doesn't mean we're not going to see just as many winter weather impacts. Anywhere from 1/10 up to 1/4 of an inch of ice comparing to this model will definitely lead to the chances of some deteriorating road conditions and the chances for maybe a few of those power outages as well, especially further south you live, Scott, Logan, LaFleur County, parts of Sebastian County as well. That's where we could see the highest ice accumulation, northwest Arkansas, and not seeing much because we're going to be starting off with those snowflakes and never transition back over into that freezing rain. So again, ice accumulation is going to be greatest across parts of the river valley, northwest Arkansas. We got to worry about the snowflakes. When it comes to travel impacts on Tuesday, again, important to note, the morning commute is not going to be bad. As you head out the door tomorrow morning, I don't want you to think, oh, this was a complete bust when it comes to the forecast. Those meteorologists were calling for several inches of snow, and there's nothing out here this morning. That's because that morning commute is going to look okay. It's going to be cold outside, but that precip hasn't reached us just yet. That's going to be further off towards the west still. As we progress to the afternoon, and especially once we get past the afternoon hours and into the evening, that is going to be the worst time to be out on the roadways. If you've got any events tomorrow night, I've seen a lot of high school athletic events already postponed or canceled or moved to a different date already, because tomorrow evening through early Wednesday morning is going to be highly advised not to be on the roadways, because it's going to be the highest impact when it comes to the snowfall rate and the freezing rain rate. That system is going to be over us during that evening commute back home for the evening. Now let's talk about what comes after that system. We'll go back to the accumulation here in just a few minutes, give you one last look at where it's going to see the heaviest snow. This concern doesn't end just on Tuesday after that system pushes through and then we're done with the winter weather. Unfortunately, after that system moves through, then that cold blast of air is going to be coming in, and we're talking about some dangerous wind chill values of what it's going to feel like outside. Definitely the coldest air we have felt so far this season. Across northwest Arkansas Wednesday morning, we're going to be talking about those wind chill values anywhere from -5 to -15 outside, and that's just what it feels like. Across the river valley, single-digit wind chill values, definitely we've seen that before, but still can be considered dangerous if you are spending a lot of time outside. You want to make sure to cover up that skin as best as possible. Exposure is going to be a big issue, not only Wednesday, but going into Thursday. And I want to show you Thursday morning as well. This is where that coldest air is going to be across our region. Everybody, without a doubt, is going to be into the negatives for our Thursday morning. Now, across the river valley, we're mainly looking at the range between -5 to -10. That's still going to lead to some exposure issues. Definitely need to prep those homes as well. This is the pipe bursting type cold that we're going to see. Need to drip those faucets, need to cover up those outdoor faucets as well, especially across northwest Arkansas. You know, single digits into the negatives we've seen before so far this winter already. This is definitely the coldest air we're going to feel across the river valley, but northwest Arkansas, this is the coldest air we're going to feel for a long time. We're talking about a range between -10 to -20. It takes a lot for this Arctic air to reach that far south, and that's what we're going to see for Thursday morning. Early in the morning, wind chill values will be -10 to -20 outside. Exposure is going to be a huge risk. You need to cover up as much skin as possible, and of course, remember to make those home preps now. Once we get to this type of cold, you want to make sure to open up those cabinets, let some warm air in. Also, cover up those faucets as well. Drip those faucets overnight, especially when it's this cold outside. Even for Friday morning, even though that advisory that we have right now, that warning that we have across northwest Arkansas for the cold doesn't reach till Friday, it's still going to be cold outside. Single digits, teens across the river valley, northwest Arkansas, single digits and still into the negatives in some places later on into the week for Friday morning. Let's briefly talk about that pipe bursting cold, what we mean by that. Again, below freezing from Tuesday evening until Saturday morning. By Saturday afternoon, we finally climb above 32 degrees. That is a long period of time that we're going to be below freezing. Please do me a favor and remember the 3 Ps, people, pets, and those pipes. Protect those pipes. We've kind of talked about that already, but those pets as well. Usually if they're outdoors, you want to try to bring them in over the next couple of days, because if you're cold outside, they're more than likely cold as well. Also, people, we want to think about those folks who spend a lot of time outdoors, our tradespeople. That's where we're going to need to cover up as much as possible, because again, not everybody has the choice of staying inside all day. Some people have to head outside, and that's going to be where we have to think about those people spending a lot of time outside. When it comes to the impacts, again, obviously we're going to be on the high end of things here over the next several days. Really hyper-focused on Tuesday, though, as the worst day for travel. Closures, I imagine we'll start to see those rolling in throughout the day, even maybe as soon as this evening, but especially for tomorrow. When it comes to Wednesday and Thursday, if you're sitting at home right now watching thinking, is my kid going to go to school on Wednesday and Thursday? You know this. Ultimately, we don't make the decision. We just give the forecast. School districts make their own independent decisions. I would have a high suspicion, though, that if they start to see that the wind chill value is going to be between -5 and -20, that we could see some school districts close, maybe not because of the road conditions still, but because of how cold it's going to be. Extreme cold is definitely going to be an issue. While the power outage risk is low, I would say that the highest chance for those power outages is especially going to be south of I-40 across the river valley, where that ice accumulation is going to be greatest. Let's cover the 7-day forecast, and then we'll wrap things up here. Northwest Arkansas over the next 7 days looks like this. Weather impact alert for us Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Again, Tuesday is the day that we're going to see the highest accumulation when it comes to some snow, when it comes to some freezing rain, when it comes to some sleet as well. The reason we have Wednesday and Thursday as that weather impact alert is because of how brutal cold it's going to be outside. Talking about those wind chill values anywhere between -5 to -20. I wish we could be even just talking about single digits, and that's definitely in the forecast across the river valley for Wednesday morning, but by Thursday morning, everybody is going to be starting off into the negative territory for the morning hours. Once you get towards the end of the week into the weekend, we finally start to warm back close to average. Across the river valley, it looks like this today. Take that deep breath. And just think about the sunshine, some warmer air today, upper 40s, low 50s, nice and comfortable for making those home preps outside, going to the grocery store. I imagine as you pass by, the milk and bread aisle might look a little empty today as people prepare for the winter weather that's coming in. Tuesday is the day that we're going to be having all that precip coming down across the area, again, across the river valley, around and along I-40. You live in around that area. That's where we're going to have the greatest potential of some snow accumulation still. And thinking right around 1 to 3 inches of snow will still be possible, but also mixing in a lot of that sleet as well. Now, once you work south of I-40, though, portions of LaFleur, portions of Scott, Logan, and into Sebastian County, that's where we'll have the greatest chances for some freezing rain. Wednesday and Thursday, bitter cold outside. We're talking about those single-digit range, anywhere between 5 to -5 on Wednesday, and then Thursday morning, we're waking up into the negatives. So think about those people who have to be outside. Obviously, protect those pipes as well in your homes because it is going to be that pipe bursting cold. Let's take one last look at that snowfall forecast and that ice forecast as well, and then we'll wrap things up here and send you back on your day. Again, enjoy today because that's where we're going to have some sunshine, breakout, and pretty warm today, actually, mid to upper 40s. We'll feel nice outside before that winter storm arrives for tomorrow. Here's your snowfall forecast. Northwest Arkansas, 6 to 8 inches of snow will definitely be possible for Benton and Carroll County. Higher elevation into Washington and Madison County generally, thinking about 3 to 6 inches of snowfall, of course, and higher elevation in the Boston Mountains. You could run into some higher accumulation than that. Then there is a quick shift between where the highest accumulation of snow is going to be to that freezing rain. In along I-40, that's what we're looking at, generally 1 to 3 inches of snowfall. But again, remember, we're going to have some of that freezing rain, some of that sleet mixing in there as well, which is going to cause for some tricky road conditions. And it's also going to lead to at least the potential of a few power outages. I think the greatest chance for those power outages, though, is going to be southern portions of the river valley, where around 1 inch of snow will be possible, but I'm more concerned about the ice, where we could be right around 1/10 up to 1/4 inch of accumulation, which would lead to some tricky road conditions, especially in the higher elevation of the Ouachitas, and then also the chances for some of those power outages as well. We're going to be providing multiple updates throughout the day today. Chief Meteorologist Scott Covert's going to be doing another one of these live streams tonight at 6:30, answering all your questions. And of course, we will be with you throughout this entire system. Go ahead and take that deep breath for today. It is okay. We will make it towards the end of the week. Just got to get through another winter storm for our region once again. For right now, we'll wrap things up and we'll keep you updated throughout the day today.